So we're going to talk a little bit about how I can use the fraction tiles, again, as the concrete tape model, to do fraction addition or subtraction with unlike denominators. So I'm going to start by identifying and having some of those fraction tiles out that we can easily find common denominators for. So you can see I used halves, fourths, eighths, and twelfths. And I'm going to start by asking students, what would happen if I wanted to add 1/2 plus 2/4? So kids are actually going to have their 1/2 piece in, and I'm going to have my whole kind of ready for them to look at so they can start identifying and looking to see equivalencies to whole. So they're going to start by putting a half in. If I said 1/2 plus 1/4, they're going to lay that in there. And then I'm going to ask them, how would I label that fraction? So some kids we know are going to try to just add straight across the bottom to say, well, I'm going to have 2/6. Well, what we need for them to realize is that, well, what would it look like then if I had my 6 size pieces out? So I'm going to find my 6 size piece, lay that out. They're saying it's 2/6. So I'm going to lay out 1/6, and I'm going to lay out 2/6, and then I'm going to ask them, does this look equivalent? Is 2/6 equivalent to what we have here? No, it isn't. So we wanted to ask them, is there a way that we can make this so that we have the same size pieces? So I'm going to have some things out. Obviously, I'm going to move the 6 away. And students are going to start working to see what size pieces could they use that are equivalent to 1/2 to make it so we have the same size denominator. So they might start with saying, well, I want to change my fourths into halves. And what they realize really quickly is that that would be more than the amount that we added, which is 1/2 plus 1/4. Likely they're going to start seeing the connections between 2/4 or 2 1/4 pieces is equal to 1/2. So we're going to show them and talk to them about how could I rename that then. So we're actually going to get rid of the 1/2 then, slide that out for students. Students can slide that out, and they're going to replace the 2/4 with the half. And then now they can see, now let's talk about how much we have in front of us. Now we have 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. So again, I would start that pretty simply with just using the concrete models here like I did, and then eventually we would add in my abstract pieces. So I might have written the equation 1/2 plus 1/4 is equal to 3/4. I might have also had underneath the 1/2 that we replace the 1/2 with 2 1/4 size pieces. Let's talk about how we could use something similar with another problem. So let's say this time we're looking at talking with students, and we say that Diego had 2/4 of a candy bar and his sister got 3/8 of a candy bar. So again, my one whole is the candy bar, and I'm going to ask the students how many pieces or how much of the candy bar did they eat together. So likely, again, what students are going to do, just because there are some misconceptions about adding fractions, especially with unlike denominators, even though they know how to do fractions with like denominators starting kind of in 4th grade, and even some in 3rd grade, they have understanding of this. The 1/4 and 1/4 is 2/4. They likely might just add straight across or not know what to do. So they might come up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as the numerator, and they might end up adding the 8 and 4 together to get the denominator. So again, we're going to go through that same process, and I'm going to ask students, well, is there any way that we could make it or trade out pieces that are equivalent in size? So I might ask, see if a student might say, well, look, I notice that 2 1/8 is the same as 1/4. So let's say they swap that out and they change those 2/8 for 1/4. And we still ask them, okay, now can we rename it? Well, no, because I still have 1/4 size pieces and I still have 1/8 size pieces, so I don't call them the same thing. So 1/8 is definitely 1/8 size, 1/4 is definitely 1/4 size. So my next step was to ask kids, now, did that help us be able to come up with one way to call this fraction amount? It didn't. So they're going to maybe put that back in and say, what do I know about my pieces? Well, they've already discovered at this point that the 1/8, it takes 2 1/8 to make a quarter. So let's see what would happen if students start manipulating more 8s. Again, they're going to see, oh, I could use those 8s. And they're going to go through their fraction tiles just like I am here. And they're going to see that I, in fact, can rename the 2/4 with 2/8 here and 2/8 here. So they're going to slide that fourth out, slide the new 2/8 pieces up. They can go ahead and slide this 1/4 out and slide those 2/8 up. At this point, now we want to ask them that same question is, now do we have a common name that we can call these fractions? So when I add 2/4 plus those 8ths, what happens? Now I can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 would be the number of 8ths that I have now. So I can nicely and easily compare and see that idea of adding unlike denominators by using the tile pieces. And then eventually we would transition over to the tape model, which is the pictorial representation of that.